Yo, what's good with y'all? Today I'm gonna show you guys how to make some dark ethnic samples, especially making the sample sound very realistic, making it sound like real instruments and stuff. If you guys learned something new and enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell because I will be live streaming very soon. And without further ado, let's get straight to the video. So here we are on the FOP, and here's how the sample sounds. So yeah, real dark and ethnic. So for this sample, I use a starter from my boy Younger Next Life. This is how the starter sounds. And then that little section just repeats over again. If you guys want to make a video on realistic guitar VSTs to make these on your own, let me know in the comment section down below and leave a like on the video and I'll gladly make another one for y'all. But anyways, to start off this sample, the effects that I put on this guitar is first, I layered it with halftime. I added the regular halftime on here, but I turned the mix down to 24%, so it was very quiet and tucked in the background. And the next I added two EQs. The first EQ I added took out all the lows and bass notes, just kind of remove that like muddiness from the guitar. And then the second one I did it again even more, just to really clean up the guitar. And then lastly, a compressor just to kind of control the volume of the guitar. That's basically everything I add on the guitar, nothing too much. I wanted to keep it real raw and realistic and not sound too processed. But moving on, the first sound I added is this flute phrase right here. So this flute phrase is from a pack that I've shown many times on my channel. This is the name right here, and then I think it was like only $10 and it comes with tons of flute samples, processed and dried. I picked this one right here, processed, and I went to the last one. So what I did here is I just stretched it so it's on beat, then I just pitched it down 100 cents so it matched the key. For the effects, like I said, I wanted to keep everything sounding realistic and authentic. I didn't want to add too much processing, so it would take away that realism from it. The first thing I added is this EQ, taking out all the bass, of course, and I lowered the low mids and I lowered the mids as well. And then I added a tiny bit of reverb. Using the right reverb could really help sounds sound better, but obviously if you drench it in reverb, it's not going to sound realistic and authentic. So when it comes to using a reverb, I really recommend using room presets, or just using a very small, tight, quick reverb like I did here. The wet knob is only at 34 and the decay knob is at 1.1 seconds, so it's a really quick reverb. Same with the delay, it was a 1/8 delay, but I just turned the mix knob down a lot, so it's very quiet in the background. And then lastly, I added an EQ, just taking out all the low mids, all the mids, and then lowering the highs as well. And as you can see down here, a lot of the instruments are panned to the right and some to the left, just so they all have their own little pocket in the final sample, and it really helps make your sample sound more wide and stereo. And then after that, I added two little textures and ear candy in the background. The first one I added is from Nami's Chapter 1 pack, and I added the Noise Clean Crackle. As you can tell, all it is just a little bit of noise and crackle, like some violin effect. Little textures and little details like this, like ear candy, really help increase the quality of your samples. And like I said, I'm trying to make this sound like an old ethnic vintage type of sample, so adding this really helped a lot. And then the second one I added is from the exact same pack, Textures Accents, and I went to the Shanghai radio station. At first it sounds pretty goofy and it sounds like it might not fit, but it really helped go with that ethnic tribe type of feel. But other than that, I added no effects on either of these. I just panned one to the left a tiny bit, one to the right, and I just leveled everything, you know, making sure it's not too loud, but you can still hear it and feel it in the back of the sample. Next, I went to the same kit and I added these vocals, the Nami Vocal Loop Gospel. It's 90 BPM, so I put it to 90 BPM, and then I made sure I enabled stretch so it wouldn't move at all, and then I went back to 103 BPM. And then what I did here is I chopped this one up and moved it to the right, and then I clicked in the top left corner, make unique, and then I pitched it down 100 cents. Like I said earlier, all these instruments just fit perfectly and it really helped go with that ethnic type of feeling. For the effects on here, I added this LX reverb. I just went to the room preset and I turned the mix knob down and the high frequencies down. Adding a room preset with your reverbs really helps it sound realistic, like someone's actually in a room recording it with an amp or something. It really helps go with that realism. And then a delay, it's the same delay as earlier, it's just a 1/4 delay, so it's a lot faster. And I turned the tone down, which is kind of filtering out the delay, and I turned the mix knob down. And EQ, I just filtered out the the sound. And the second EQ, I just took out all the bass, all the mids, and I took out some highs as well. Added these EQs just to filter out the sound, make it sound more old and vintage, of course. And then lastly, a pancake, I just made this little automation where it starts off on the left and then it ends up on the right, and I just turned the mix knob down to 27, just giving the vocals more movement and not just be in the middle. And then the second to last sound I added is this guitar bass, the Rickenbacker bass, just a stock preset. And all I did is I followed the bass notes from the original starter. So yeah, it was really easy to come up with this pattern. Like I said, I was just going with the starter. If you struggle with this, one of the things I could recommend is pitching the bass up, or even pitching the sample up, so it's a lot easier to hear. Because of course a bass is real muddy and real, like, there's a lot of low end and it's hard to hear the tone. But other than that, the effects on here, I just took out some of the mids, and then on the stock EQ down here, I raised up a lot of the lows and I took out all the highs. And then last sound I added was for the second half of the sample. I added this Japanese kodo. I actually got this free. I forgot where I got it from, but I'm pretty sure if you just search up free kodo contact bank, you can find this bank right here. I chose the pluck vibrato preset and I played this out. I just played a lot of notes that were strumming together, making it sound like a realistic kodo, and I just played some triplet patterns like right here at the end. And I took this and I just copied it over. And then down here, I messed with the velocities a lot to make it sound realistic, not having every note be at the exact same volume and sounding robotic. And then for the effects on here, the first thing I added is the sound shifter. That's why it sounds like it's at a higher octave, because I added this ambience reverb. I used the dark Rimba room preset. Like I said earlier, room presets are your best bet when it comes to using like reverbs and stuff. First EQ, I lowered the lows and I took out the mids, and I raised the highs a little bit to sound a little more clean. And then the second EQ, I took out more lows, more mids. But yeah, that was pretty much it. As you can see, I had this little arrangement. And then on the master, I had a EQ. This EQ is just to clean up the sound. I lowered some of the lows a little bit, some of the mids, and I raised the highs for it to sound more clean and crisp. And then a sound shifter, pitching it down too. I always mess with the pitch of my samples before I export them, just because you could always come up with like a better sound, or it could sound better a lot lower or at a lot higher octave. And then I exported it, and then this was the final sample. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the sample. Shout out you in the next slide for the starter. If you guys did enjoy and learn something new, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos or when I go live. I'm gonna start live streaming very soon, and I'll be using a lot of you guys' samples, or I'll be doing like critiquing or using whatever. I wanted to start kind of hearing y'all's stuff as well. So yeah, it's very important you guys subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any more videos or live streams. Any video ideas, make sure you guys leave them in the comment section down below. Lastly, follow me on Instagram. It's at the bottom of the screen right now, and I'll see y'all in the next video.